Hi there again, welcome back to Hampden. We've had a goalless first half, but Gordon, plenty of incident. What do you make of it?
Yeah, it's been smashing, unfortunately goalless, but both goalkeepers, particularly Pat Bonner, have had a lot to do, and I think Aberdeen have just edged it in the first half.
Well, of course, I mean, Aberdeen, Gordon, had a gilt-edged chance very early on when Charlie Nicholas created space for himself, and he beat Bonner, but he couldn't beat Paul Elliott.
No, it comes out here, and I love the little turn, a little bit of magic, strikes it quite well, and a fantastic goal line clearance by Paul Elliott there. I mean, he's a little bit unfortunate there, Charlie. Look at that for a turn, terrific and good clearance.
Tremendous clearance by Elliott. Then Heelhouse, he came close too, because now you thought there was nothing wrong with this challenge.
No, they made good contact there. I mean, Paddy Bonner will be a bit disappointed there, but if you look at goalkeepers the wrong way nowadays, referees blow for a foul, so I wasn't surprised that he gave a free kick there, although I didn't think it was one.
Terrific leap by Heelhouse, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's very good, terrific spring, he's very good in there.
Right, Gordon, down at the other end, Jakinowski created some space, and he had a raging shot.
Yeah, he makes a good run across the box here, waltzes past one, waltzes past another, and then drives it well, just hit it a little bit too high. He's played very well in the first half, in actual fact, in a deeper role than he normally plays.
He looks busy, doesn't he, Gordon?
Yeah, well, he's playing, they're more playing Miller and Walker up front, and Jakinowski's sort of deep line centre forward, and Aberdeen have found that a little bit of a problem in the first half.
As you rightly said, Gordon, I mean, Pat Bonner has been probably the busier of the two goalkeepers. Jim Bett gave him a problem briefly, and Hans Heelhouse closed in on him very quickly.
Yeah, well, here's a good bit of skill, turns in there, wallops a good left foot shot, but there again, I don't think Pat Bonner will be too happy with himself there. He nearly gave Hans Heelhouse a little opportunity to snatch a goal there. But a real good shot here for Jim Bett. Just fumbles it a little bit, but makes a good recovery.
Which side looks the likeliest to score, do you think?
Well, both defences are playing okay. I mean, Celtic with this sweeper system, which nobody expected, I think possibly Heelhouse and Nicholas have had a lot more joy than what Andy Walker and Joe Miller have had at the other end. But it's still an open game, and it's anybody's game so far. Anybody's
game. Billy Stark nearly made it his game with a tremendous header, which just went over the top.
Yeah, Antoine fires in a terrific cross here, and Billy Stark, I mean, that was a really brave header there, and it just zooms over the crossbar. And that's the two wide players pushing on. When you play the three at the back, you're looking to Anton Rogan and Billy Stark to get forward a bit. Happened there.
And then at the other end, just before half-time, I mean, Alec McLeish, now, he would think he should have done better here, Gordon.
Yeah, the ball's come back across. Pat Bonner's committed himself to that side of the goal, and I think Alec McLeish was... I mean, I thought he should have looked that in, but he never quite made the contact that he'd hoped there. As I say, Pat Bonner, Paul Elliott clears it again.
Elliott in the right place at the right time again. I mean, obviously you rate him highly.
Yes, I do, but it must be a bit awkward for him today, because we're playing the three at the back, Dobchek, Sweeker. If you get Heelhouse and Charlie Nicholas splitting them, you end up with the central defender Paul Elliott in a wide position in the right back row, and you get Derek White pushing over on the left, but it's worked out okay for them so far.
OK, Gordon, we'll take another break, but join us again in a couple of minutes from now for the second half of the Tennent Scottish Cup final. Welcome back to Hampden Park. It's still goalless here, but in London at Wembley, it's 1-1 between Manchester United and Crystal Palace in the FA Cup final. So Gordon McQueen and I thoroughly looking forward to the second half here at Hampden. Let's rejoin match commentator Jock Brown.
So there's the setting as the sides are awaited for the second half of what has been an excellent match so far. The five bands are departing. The ball boys always signalling the arrival of the players, but it's Aberdeen who come out first. And there's an Aberdeen player who has to watch from the stand just behind Willem van der Ark. There is Willie Miller, the Aberdeen skipper, who would have been playing today in his sixth final had he been fit enough, or selected, let's say, by manager Alex Smith. There's Willie Miller. A nice touch too by Aberdeen. Bobby Mims is just beside Willie Miller, the Tottenham Hotspur goalkeeper who played some of the early rounds of the Cup on loan from Spurs. He's here to enjoy the occasion, and a quick check around the players as they emerge indicates that there has been no half-time substitution. Remember that Aberdeen have young Ian Jess and equally young Graham Watson available. In reserve, Celtic have Tommy Coyne and Mike Galloway. So the pipe band still not entirely off the field. That's why referee George Smith hesitates. He's had a very good match so far. Always tough to handle a final played with this level of commitment, but his calm authority has certainly had an excellent effect on the proceedings. So it's Aberdeen to get the second half underway. And one of the attractions of the day, of course, is the fact that this game will be played to a finish one way or another for the first time. There will be extra time and penalty kicks if required. And I'm sure these players will be all hoping that it can be resolved within the 90 minutes. So no evidence of obvious change in the formations at the start of the second half.
No, they've both come out the same way. I think Celtic should be delighted the way they performed in the first half. They've nullified Aberdeen's back four as far as getting on the ball is concerned, and also their front with Jackanoski off the front has caused all sorts of problems.
So Theo Snelders with the long clearance, a high ball towards Nicholas. Not the way he likes to receive a pass. Charlie Nicholas likes the ball to his feet. And certainly when it's been delivered there, he's looked very dangerous indeed. Connor's pass misses out Grant. Played forward by Rogan. Cut off by McKimmie. And there's Irvin. Thumping the ball forward. Paul Mason underneath that for Aberdeen, but so too was Dubček for Celtic. Irvin doing well in the air. Here's McStay taking the ball on at pace. On the far side is Billy Stark. Great play that from McStay. Early ball in from Stark. Very firmly by Brian Grant. Here's McStay again, anxious to become involved. Billy Stark with a shooting chance. Well, didn't catch that properly. Milhouse caught there by Peter Grant. The referee will have a hold up in play to allow for some treatment to both players. Peter Grant is injured, but so too is Hillhouse. Now the ball again, very frisky indeed, bouncing high here as it breaks back from Paul Mason. There was Hillhouse, and the tackle, a high tackle by Peter Grant. Well, I'm not sure how Peter Grant came by an injury, but it was quite clear how that happened to Hans Hillhouse.
John, I've been very impressed how Billy Stark's played the game today. I don't think a month ago Billy would have had any intention of, or even any thoughts of playing in a cup final, but he's came in and caused all sorts of problems in the Aberdeen box. Also, as you can see, the ball, as always with the tango, it's going to finish up round about the throat and chest area, so these tackles are always going to appear in games like this.
Well, Hans Hillhouse having a very tough baptism in cup finals for Aberdeen. Anton Rogan dropping back. Paul Mason trying to get round him to get to the ball, and the goal kick has been given. The Aberdeen fans behind Pat Vaughan are not entirely happy about that. Jankowski chesting it down for McStay. That was intended for Rogan, but Mason was quick enough. Good recovery by Rogan. Well, he has his critics, Anton Rogan, but he certainly has been a good player for Celtic this afternoon.
I think the system has definitely suited Anton, where he's been able to push down into midfield and be involved in tackles and starting the play.
Here's Alec McLeish. Bet has gone deep. There's David Robertson, not much room for Robertson. Back it goes to McLeish. Laid off by Hillhouse, but Charlie Nicholas couldn't gather it in time. So it's a throw to Celtic, which Billy Stark will take. Peter Grant forward first time, looking for Jankowski. He's kneeing it away initially. The two Grants together again. There's Paul Mason for Aberdeen. And Irvin. Hurried into that clearance by the snapping attentions of Peter Grant.
I think for Aberdeen to take a hold in this game, they'll They'll have to get it down at the back and attempt to pass it through their midfield. At the minute, it seems to be going from back to front and coming straight back to them again because of Elliott and White and Dubček. I think it's really important that Jim Bett stamps his authority on this game.
Header by Ryan Irvin. There's Rogan. Walker collects for Celtic. Billy Stark pops up on the right. The early header down for Joe Miller, who is adjudged to be offside by the near side linesman. The referee insisting that play continue here. And now there is a free kick, an angry reaction there from Joe Miller. Well, the referee almost falling victim there of trying to keep the play flowing. Paul McStay having a few words with the near side linesman. He gave that decision against Joe Miller and incurred the wrath of the Celtic players. There's Kenny Rice from Bearsden, the linesman. And there's the couple of tackles here which upset Joe Miller in particular. David Robertson upsetting him. And here's a chance for Celtic from the set piece. Dubček can take advantage here with his very talented left foot. Only 3 in the wall for Aberdeen. And the wall did well. Nicholas coming off the wall to make a tackle. And the ball lobbed forward by McStay as Aberdeen sprinted out. There's McKinney. Well taken down by Mason. Trying to thread that through for Brian Grant. White made the interception. This is David Robertson. Another tackling back. Played in early by Connor. There's Nicholas. And a good piece of defending there by Derek White, who got up very close to Charlie Nicholas. Prevented him getting a clean strike and goal with his head. Connor with an excellent cross first time. And it was a challenge from White, which put Nicholas off.
Charlie does brilliant here as he drifts off Dubček and drops back onto White. He was very unlucky that it was just slightly too high for him.
Derek White doing some good defending though. Stark helps it on. There's Joe Miller forcing it forward. David Robertson sending it safely back to Snelders. Powerful header that by Anton Rogan, going in behind Hans Hillhouse. Well, Celtic certainly establishing even further their cup fighting traditions, coming into this match as underdogs, but playing with tremendous verve and commitment and no little skill. There was David Robertson almost in trouble. Joe Miller closing him down very rapidly indeed. Off the head of Rogan. Well won by Stark. Here's Jakinowski. McStay made a good run forward, but McLeish anticipated the danger. Here's Mason. Nicholas takes over, setting that up for Stuart McKinney. McKinney at pace, almost past Derek White. White had only one chance to stop that move, and he timed it well. There's Paul Mason. A turn from McKinney. Good tackle by Rogan. Edmonds header. Stay failed to control the pass, but Stark helps out. Here's Peter Grant. Good play by Connor. Excellent play in the middle of the field by Robert Connor. Peter Grant and Jim Bett flash awkwardly in the middle of the field, but there's no problem as they both get to their feet. Here's David Robertson trying to get beyond Paul Elliott, and that has proved to be a very difficult task indeed this afternoon. He's had an excellent match, Elliott, not only in his own performance, but his inspirational effect to his teammates.
Yes, definitely. The tussle I expected to be the problem for Celtic was Elliott versus Hillhouse, but he's matched him for everything today and has shown by example to the rest of the players.
Jakinowski. David Robertson going up. Well, he's been penalised. Joe Miller was the player who didn't appear to make any attempt to play the ball, but David Robertson's been penalised for going over the top. Here's Miller. Trying to be on Connor. Good clearance that from McLeish. Connor hurried into that ball forward for Hillhouse. There's Bet. Well tackled by Paul McStay. Bet hasn't really been able to get going in the middle of the field. He's been very closely marked. Aberdeen really need his kind of passing skills if they're to flourish from that area. Oh, that's good play by Hillhouse. Now McLeish. Coming back. Connors in space on the left. It goes to the middle. Dubček beats Nicholas in the air. Miscue with the header there by McStay. Hillhouse resisting the first challenge from Elliott. Good header by Robertson. Well, that's good determined play by the young fullback. He's well stopped by Stark. One of the youngest players in the field, David Robertson, stopped by one of the oldest, Billy Stark. In fact, Billy Stark, the senior man on the field this afternoon, 33 years old. Here's Connor for Aberdeen. Well tackled again by Stark. Hillhouse screening the ball from Elliott. Well, a clear body check there. Obstruction on Hillhouse by Elliott. Although once again, the skill of Hillhouse that almost made this foul inevitable. It was Hans Hillhouse, one of those delightful turns we've seen so often this season. And Elliott stops his progress. And the result for Paul Elliott, sadly, is another yellow card. Well, he's had a fine match for Celtic, but he'll be very upset indeed to be shown the yellow card for the 16th time this season in Celtic colours.
Yes, Jock, I think that yellow card comes from 2 or 3 tackles earlier in the game. I think there wasn't that much in that one.
Free kick taken by Connor. Put away by White. Here's Jim Bet. That check, heading it wide. Rolling in disgrace. Here's Walker. Celtic on the break. The other ball released for Jakinowski. Well, it was intended to reach Jakinowski. He was breaking in open spaces on the right. Mason plays it square with that header. It's picked up by Stark. Asking a lot of it today, although the skipper responded. Here's Anton Rogan. Stay to Jakinowski. Clumsy challenge back by McKinney. Jakinowski on the ground, and the free kick goes to Celtic. Well, Sid McKinney's not pleased with this decision, but he didn't half go fiercely into that challenge.
No, the inconsistency of referees. The boy Elliott a minute earlier gets a yellow card for that one. I see no difference in the 2 tackles.
And Snelders. Good clean catch by Snelders. McLeish to Hillhouse. That was well read by Peter Grant, that turn by Hillhouse. McKinney's clearance blocked by Walker. It breaks for Brian Grant. All hectic again. Stalemate remains, 0-0. As that ball beats Paul Elliott. Here's Jim Bet. Hillhouse goes outside him. Charlie Nicholas is disappointed. He made the run at the near post. Hillhouse clearly disappointed with this effort. The timing from Jim Bet was good enough. The ball beating Paul Elliott in the air. Bet holds it up, waits for Hillhouse to go past him on the outside, sets it up. Nicholas makes a run at the near post, but the pass is not delivered.
Jock, I think Aberdeen, most of their penetrating forward play in this half has been when a full-back has been on the ball. I think they've got to try and get it out to McKinney and Robertson to start the game. I think playing balls forward is not their style of play, and it's not been fruitful in any way.
Good head of that by Elliott beating Nicholas on the run. Pass back, forcing Pat Bonner to move nimbly to his left. So 1 hour of the final Tennant Scottish Cup final gone. Still no goals, but they're being threatened with every passing minute by both sides. Here's David Robertson. Plenty of time for Dubček. Trying to get that inside David Robertson. Good decisive play by the young fullback.
An ideal situation there for the goalkeeper Snelders to throw out to McKimmie, and he doesn't do it. Has to kick long again.
Walker and McKimmie having a little private battle over there. Well, McKimmie will be in trouble, I reckon, now. Paul started making the point a few minutes ago. Paul Elliott was booked for a hefty tackle. That's McKimmie at 2 in a very short space of time. And it looks as though he's going to escape the wrath of referee George Smith. No question about that being a foul. Free kick taken quickly by Celtic. Rogan closed down quickly by Mason. Rogan's throw. Here's Andy Walker. That's a great turn inside, forcing that clumsy challenge from Brian Irvin. Celtic again trying to press forward into the attack. Paul Elliott is thinking about going forward. He's decided against it for the moment. Thumped clear by Robert Connor. White wins it from Nicholas, and Aberdeen now have possession. There's still no sign of activity on either bench. Of course, the possibility of extra time must be considered by both managers.
Yes, I think Billy McNeill will be thinking about Billy Stark. You know, hasn't played too many games, and how long he can last. And he's got the ideal substitute and Mike Galloway on the bench. I don't think it'll be long before that'll be made.
Perhaps even the first glimpse of fatigue there from Billy Stark on that miscued forward pass. So a throw to Aberdeen. Mike Galloway thirsting for the action, I've no doubt. And the decision there is a goal kick to Celtic, much to the disappointment of Hans Hillhouse. An average of a goal every other game for Aberdeen since he arrived from PSV Eindhoven midway through the season. That's an outstanding record.
Typical continental jock. You just have to touch him when he goes down.
Stark get a touch. That came off David Robertson. Now the referee decides the last touch is from a Celtic player, so Aberdeen have the throw, which Connor takes. That's fine play there by Andy Walker. A lot of courage there making that challenge. Stark inside. Bet wins it for Aberdeen. Nicholas to Hillhouse. Here's Brian Grant. Well, had he gone outside wide, he had a lot of space to exploit. There's another chance now, but Rogan comes across swiftly. Getting a cheer all to himself from the Celtic fans, Anton Rogan. That's for Jakinowski, a fine pass. Back with Rogan, looking to deliver the cross. And Peter Grant couldn't get there in time. Knocking over the cameraman. Well, Anton Rogan was a key man in all these moves. So was Jakinowski. Rogan's cross delivered, crossed the face of Snelders, and Peter Grant couldn't cash in.
Really, I think it's very important that Celtic use Jakinowski more in this half than they have. I think that's the first time he's been on the ball this half, and then straight away they have a goal-mouth incident off it.
Still lobbing it forward, there's Irvin. Peter Grant returns it, looking for Miller on the far side. Just listen to the noise here at Hampden. Celtic fans may have travelled to Hampden with a little bit of trepidation this afternoon, but they've had a performance full of guts and determination and of course set up by some very enterprising tactical decisions by Billy McNeill and Tommy Craig before the match. So 25 minutes of the match remaining, unless it stays all square as it is right now at Millwall. There are one or two signs of tiredness creeping in.
Yes, I think the use of the long ball now is the main sign. I think somebody has now got to start their authority in the midfield, get it down and make some passes. Whichever team settles, gets the ball down, I think will come out winners.
The match could scarcely be more evenly poised. Here's a chance for Jakanowski, and met there by McLeish. Top-class defending by the Aberdeen skipper. Hasn't quite recovered yet. He'll be winded by that effort, but he's able to watch an Aberdeen attack. Hillhouse picks it up from Connor. Another slack pass that though by Hillhouse, allowing Elliott to step in. Alec McLeish made a very important challenge there on Jakanowski, setting himself for a shot at goal. There's Nicholas looking for Mason. Turned away there for an Aberdeen throw. News from Wembley is that Manchester United have gone ahead. They lead by 2-1 thanks to a goal from Mark Hughes. 2-1 to Manchester United at Wembley. Still no scoring, but lots of action here at Hampden. Here's Derek White. Grant. Now Jakanowski. Finds space this time on the left to attack Stuart McKimmie. Up for Stark. A superb chance for Celtic. Came to the man who would no doubt have expected to score. Billy Stark. Beautifully flighted in by Jakanowski. In came Stark. And that's about a foot wide.
Again, all problems Celtic are causing is when they can get Jakanowski on the ball. Again, Billy Stark steals in from behind and gets in front of Connor.
That came off Joe Miller. Robertson's throw. Here's Nicholas waiting. Dobchek didn't. Back with Derek White. Logan again getting space on the left flank for Celtic. Well cut up by Irvin. He's met by McStay. McKimmie into the midfield where Peter Grant picks it up. Celtic picking up more and more of the loose balls. There's Billy Stark trying to make amends. That missed chance in a long-range effort. But posing no problems of a serious nature for Theo Snelders.
Trying to feel the balance of his games tilting in Celtic's favour. I think the urgency to play is definitely seen them take a grip of this game.
That's good play by Miller. Here's Stark on the right. Walker waits in the middle. So does Jakanowski. So does Joe Miller. And Alec McLeish stands firm again for Aberdeen. There's Robertson. Hillhouse did well, getting in there in front of Elliott. Challenge made by Connor and McStay. Here's Charlie Nicholas lofting out forward. There's no offside. Connor is out of his goal and almost bounced too high for him. And cleared up in the end by White. There's McKimmie. Good header by Brian Grant. This is Charlie Nicholas. Aberdeen now hitting back. And the field is well inside there for Nicholas, allowing Dobchek to pick out Billy Stark in acres of space on the Celtic right. What a match this is. Joe Miller back with Stark. Aberdeen have regrouped in defence. Joe Miller trying to get the better of Robertson. He's been allowed to wander inside. Connor waits. Well, I think we'll look for a corner kick from this. And a free kick is given for the attentions of Connor on Miller. A smile on the face of Joe Miller. I think that's all he was looking for. Former Aberdeen player, of course, Joe nicely policed by Brian Irvine all the way. Did well, in fact, to reach the ball, Anton Rogan, but it was too difficult to get the header on target.
Great wing play from Joe Miller there. He sucked players into him and then eventually secured the free kick.
Elliott's header, a commanding one, straight to Jakinowski. Well, this one will be the Grant. There's Mason. Now McKimmie has the chance to spring forward for Aberdeen on the right. Well, not quite what he intended for the long ball. Jakinowski stepping away from McLeish, linking with McStay. Here's Andy Walker. Brian Irvine on his own for the moment. That's a fine tackle by Irvine. Stretching in, timing that to perfection to halt the progress of Walker.
Again, Jakinowski starts it all off.
Well, McStay now waits for Rogan. He'll take the throw. This means that McStay may be involved in the build-up. There's Walker. That's a good turn. Trying to make room for the shot, and then he tried to flight one in at the top corner. Well, Walker has certainly worked hard up front, but so too have all the Celtic players.
Yes, definitely. They've worked 100% and more. And also the front three, I can't say enough about them, the way they've shut down the Aberdeen back four today.
Good kick out from Snelders, but it was hit too firmly for Joe Miller. So Connor has possession. This is Hillhouse. Elliott poised to make the tackle. Good running by Bet. Bubchik had to be careful with the pass back. Very sure-footed indeed with that ball back to Bonner. Irvine leading in there to head clear. This is Rogan. Stopped by Mason. Andy Walker trying to take on Irvine. Showing excellent control here, Jakinowski. And the fish gets help there from Connor. Eric White's clearance goes straight to Hillhouse. Aberdeen need movement on the left. There's none available yet, so Hillhouse has to go across field. Here's McKimmie. Ryan Grant is onside. Good running by Grant. Hillhouse waits behind him. Jim Betts in the box. Elliott almost misjudged that. In goes David Robertson, who's next table, bouncing away from him to McKimmie. Betts free in the left. McKimmie may go himself. Drawing the Celtic players to him to make space for Bet. Hugged away by White, and space now for Jakinowski. This is dangerous from the Aberdeen point of view as Celtic come forward. They have Walker and Miller ahead. Peter Grant trying to get on terms. Here's Jakinowski setting up a shot. Jackie Jakinowski once again at the heart of a very promising Celtic move. Coming inside Brian Irvine, he did well to slow up his progress. And here's Snelders knew that was going over.
Yes, does very well here, cuts inside, makes a long-range attempt with his right foot. But again, as I said, he's caused all sorts of problems just because of the position he's playing today.
And also because he does have a great deal of ability on the ball. There's Irvine's header. Bet playing it wide. There's Stuart McKimmie. Paul Mason has a great first-time ball into space for Nicholas. Aberdeen now trying to get players into the box. One of them is Hillhouse. A superb move from Aberdeen, and Hans Hillhouse hits the side netting with a glorious header. Mason to Nicholas, Nicholas to Hillhouse. A great effort.
Yes, a great move here for Aberdeen. Charlie Nicholas, and it all is because of the cross. Definite class cross here, comes in, bent back into the striker, who manages to get in front of his marker. He's very unlucky with his finish.
So some relief there for Pat Bonner, who will no doubt argue, I think, with some conviction that he was in a position to cover that had it been on target. Quarter hour remaining, still no scoring, extra time looming. Dave plays it into space here for Rogan. So Miller underneath this, she should have no chance of reaching it before Snilders.
As we've seen before, Jock, he has to kick it long again. It comes straight back to him.
Good header that by Irvin. It's picked up by McKimmie. Down goes Stuart McKimmie. Tchaikovsky offers the apology, which is accepted by McKimmie. Well, Stuart McKimmie nimble here going forward. Tchaikovsky a little bit laboured with that challenge, maybe feeling the effects of 75 minutes all-out effort. McKimmie with the free kick. McLeish is in the box, marked by Elliott. Now Nicholas. Determined to end his Aberdeen career with a real fight. That's a good pass from Mason. Inside it goes to Hillhouse, trying to turn away from Elliott, looking for a penalty kick, because the referee denies him, and there go Celtic in the break. Joe Miller was offside. Hans Hillhouse is still looking thoroughly frustrated about the fact that he didn't get a foul for this. He certainly appeared to play for it. A good ball inside by Nicholas, helped inside by Mason. It was then Hans Hillhouse trying to hold off Paul Elliott. Down he goes, the referee not interested in appeals to a penalty, and I think he was quite right.
Yes, Jock, I think it would have been a soft penalty. I'd been looking for one as well.
So a glut of goals at Wembley. Just hearing now that Crystal Palace have equalised. Ian Wright has come on as substitute to make it. Crystal Palace 2, Manchester United 2. Here at Hampden, still all square. And the match really could not be more evenly set up for the grandstand finish. Celtic have enjoyed a good spell, but now Aberdeen are enjoying a good one themselves. There's Connor playing it in. Dubček with the clearance. Connor again. Here's Paul Mason. Cut up by White. McKimmie wins it from Walker. There's McLeish. Nicholas is onside. He reaches ahead of Bonner. Well, Celtic almost paid for a little bit of slackness there. They were looking for an offside flag, but Nicholas timed his run well, coming off his marker, and Pat Bonner had to come out of his area. There's Nicholas again. It's back with Bet. Too high for Hillhouse. Well, that's well done by Billy Stark. Composed and confident.
Aberdeen have come back in the game again, purely and simply I feel because of how long the games went, and now they're able to start passing the ball into midfield players and dictating the game from that.
Irvin's header. There's Paul Mason. A chance for Hillhouse to run, but the angle of the pass wasn't quite right. Oh, Hillhouse the chance to reach it. Pat Bonner wins the race comfortably. Still, both sides resist the temptation to put on fresh legs, anticipating, no doubt, the ever likelier prospect of extra time. Turned away by Irvin. Certainly reached a stage in the match where it will be very difficult for either side to come back from losing a goal, Paul.
Yeah, so definitely. I think that's why the subs haven't come on. I think they don't want to change the pattern in the game until extra time, if necessary. Stark wins it from Connor. There's David Robertson. Dubček has settled well in central defence. Walker clashing there with Irvin. In goes McLeish. Breaks for Brian Grant. Cross it goes to Hillhouse. Can he take on Elliott this time? Hasn't had much change out of the Celtic centre half so far. There's no free kick. Hillhouse looking hopefully towards referee Smith, who was very close to the play. His positioning certainly could not be faulted there. 10 minutes remaining. The official attendance here for the Tennis Scottish Cup final is 60,493.
And they certainly have made plenty of noise. Here's Grant, striding away from White. White getting back, recovering quickly. Here's Jim Bett. Well, that's good play, going past his man. A change of pace from Bett. Catching out Peter Grant, who acknowledges the foul. Well, Jim Bett really has a great change of pace here. Just goes up a gear to ease away from Peter Grant, who's forced into that reckless challenge. So too far out, I reckon, for a direct shot on goal. But certainly not too far out for a rehearsed move in the training ground. Jim Bett stealing forward. The lecture going on here for Jackie Jakanowski. He must have been complaining too much. The referee adjusts the position of the ball as Pat Bonner lines up the wall. The referee will now insist on the ball going further back. Well, it could be a direct shot on goal. Jim Bett appears to have taken the ball a few yards forward to bring it within range. There's Connor and Bett. It was deflected. Could have been awkward for Bonner, but he got his body behind it. There was Jim Bett driving it through the wall, and Pat Bonner did well. Bonner's header. Charlie Nicholas caught offside.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Today's attendance is
So free kick to Celtic.
493.
And there's an indication now from both sides that they may be so concerned about losing one before the end that they may indeed take a safety first policy towards the end of the 90 minutes and wait for extra time. An awkward one this for Snell. Does the ball bounces high from that position. He judged it well. Dub check. Here's Walker. Now Stark. The early ball finds Jakanowski. They're allowed to turn to face McLeish. It's back with McStay. He's away from Grant. Jakanowski again showing himself. Here's Stark. Sending it across to Walker, and a great challenge again by Alec McLeish. He's walking with his foot to the ball, but the presence of McLeish made it impossible to get this on target.
Jock, it shows how the early ball or the early cross in the box causes all sorts of problems to defenders. Stark plays it in here again. Walker gets in front of McLeish. Very unlucky with his finish.
Elliott wins it from Hillhouse. On towards Nicholas. Good turn by Nicholas. Away from Peter Grant. Aberdeen have lots of players forward this time. One of them is Hillhouse. Losing out in that battle of strength with Paul McStay. Peter Grant breaks for Celtic. Walker ahead on the left. Jakanowski in the middle. Miller on the right. Walker sends it across. Looking for Joe Miller. Well, the cross was slightly overhit, making it difficult for Joe Miller. Certainly beyond few Snelders, and there was Joe Miller.
In this pass here, I'd say if Peter Grant had maybe overlapped Walker, he would have got to a byline and allowed more people to maybe to get in the box, whereas the boy Walker had to play a flat cross across the box.
Here's Joe Miller, back with McStay. David Robertson to Hillhouse. And Paul Elliott won't be denied this afternoon. Well, he's reacted superbly to the very stern test set up by Hans Hillhouse in attack for Aberdeen. Morgan's header. Touched on there by Joe Miller from McKinney. Evan has to go for the ball again. There's Grant, hustled out of that by McStay. So forceful this afternoon for Celtic in midfield. Stark couldn't get the ball fully under control. There's Paul Mason, 5 minutes remaining, still no scoring. Remember, extra time will follow. You won't miss any of that should the scoreline remain the same until the end. Here's Jakanowski. Looking for support on the left, finds Stark ahead. The offside flag is up against Joe Miller, not against Stark, obviously. The linesman indicating who the player was. It was Joe Miller. And he's not at all happy about that, as you can see from his reaction.
Yeah, it's definitely offside. Disappointing, actually, because Billy Stark had found a great position and was looking for somebody to play 1-2 with.
So very tense moments these. Just 4 minutes left until the end of the 90 minutes. Jim Bett comes forward. Here's Nicholas trying to get the ball down. Ball is down very well by Derek White, who's taken a knock and conceding that corner kick. And Derek White is on the ground. The referee may allow some attention for the Celtic defender, and quite confident he's certainly not play acting. Billy McNeill now on his feet at the dugout. And the referee George Smith is insisting that Derek White leaves the field. Paul McStay going to have a word with him. White gets back on his feet. Ryan Scott will not be given the chance to administer any treatment. Connor's corner kick. An easy one for Connor. While they're waiting for the Celtic players to push upfield. Jakanowski got a touch. Header by Rogan. Jakanowski trying to find McStay, but he has found Stark. He'll lose out and turn to Bennett. Good running by Mason. Hillhouse and Nicholas Waite in the middle. Mason trying to ensure the cross was accurate, and that's what gave White the chance to make a tackle. Here's Jankowski again. And Miller. Under pressure all the way, couldn't reach Walker with a pass. Here's David Robertson. He may try to go outside McStay. Well, good running play this by David Robertson. And once again, Paul McStay makes an excellent tackle for Celtic.
Has been shown all day when fullbacks, Aberdeen fullbacks, have managed to get forward. They've got themselves into crossing positions, and they've got corners, throw-ins, and really Aberdeen, thinking about the next half hour, should concentrate on getting them on the ball.
McLeish returns it to Bett. There's Brian Irvin beaten the ball by Rogan. Up goes Mason. McLeish beaten to that ball by McStay. There's McKimmie. There's no offside. It's back with Alec McLeish. In a creative role now for Aberdeen. Here's Jim Bett. Good effort by Bett. Testing Bonner at the near post. Set up by McLeish and finished by Bett. There was the pass to McLeish. Bett trying to surprise Bonner, who covered his near post well. Bett with a corner kick. We're going into the last minute of the match. Rogan going up there with Irvin. The Aberdeen fans thought there was a bit of climbing by Rogan on the shoulders of Irvin. Jankowski trying to get in behind Brian Grant. He's managed to win possession. Here's Joe Miller. A great chance here now for Celtic at the end of the 90 minutes. Andy Walker, followed by Connor. Here's Stark. Too close to Stelders. Touched on there by May, Super Hillhouse. Referee checking his watch as we go into stoppage time at the end of the match. And here's Hans Hillhouse. Now Connor. Robertson available outside him. Jim Bett also hugging the left. It's given away by Robertson to McStay. A late chance here for Celtic with Joe Miller. He's away from McLeish. That's a foul all right by McLeish. The referee chooses to give a corner kick. No question that McLeish committed a foul here on Joe Miller, but Miller was strong enough to stay on his feet. The advantage rule was applied, and that's why the referee gave the corner kick and Brian Grant made the tackle.
Definitely good referee in there to allow him to go into the box with a chance of a shot.
Certainly the foul by McLeish was outside the box. So perhaps the last chance in normal time for a goal. Celtic's corner kick. Paul Elliott is at the corner of the box, marked by McLeish, as Paul McStay takes the kick. There's Elliott. The offside flag is up. The Aberdeen defence very quickly out from the goal line, leaving Miller and Walker stranded. And there goes the final whistle. We're going into extra time, so don't go away. We'll be right back in just a couple of minutes.